Imagine this: you're scrolling through your feed late at night, and you stumble upon a story that hits you right in the gut, the kind where someone you care about is being torn down, piece by piece, by the very person who's supposed to lift them up. It's Thanksgiving dinner, the tables loaded with turkey and stuffing, laughter echoing around, but then your son-in-law leans back with a smug grin and says out loud in front of everyone, "I married her out of pity. No one else would put up with that controlling nag." His brothers burst out laughing, slapping the table like it's the funniest joke they've ever heard. Your daughter, the sweet, artistic soul who's always been too kind for her own good, just hangs her head, her face turning red, her eyes welling up with shame. And you, as her mother, you've watched this nightmare unfold for years, the slow, suffocating drain on her spirit. And in that moment, something inside you snaps. You stand up slowly with a calm smile that hides the fire burning in your chest, and you say something that shuts down the whole room, wipes those smirks right off their faces, and changes everything forever. But before I dive into what those words were and how this all exploded into one of the most satisfying acts of family justice you'll ever hear, let me take you back, because this isn't just a quick revenge tale. It's a story of love twisted into control, of dreams crushed under the weight of manipulation, and ultimately of a daughter reclaiming her life with a little help from the one person who never stopped believing in her. My name is Margaret Hayes, and I'm 65 now, a retired schoolteacher who spent my life shaping young minds and raising my own kids with the values that matter most: kindness, respect, and the strength to stand up when someone's trying to push you down. I lost my husband early. He passed when the kids were small, so I did it all on my own, working double shifts, grading papers late into the night. But I made sure my 3 children knew they were loved and capable. Emily, my youngest, was always the gentle one. From the time she was little, she'd sit at the kitchen table with her crayons, sketching flowers and faces with this quiet focus that made my heart swell. I still have those drawings taped up on my fridge, faded now, but full of that innocent joy. She had a gift for art, the kind that could touch people's souls. She volunteered at animal shelters, dreamed of opening her own studio one day where she could teach kids to express themselves through painting. She was the type who saw beauty in everything, even in people who didn't deserve it, and that's what made her vulnerable. At 23, Emily met Jake at a local art fair. He was tall, charismatic, with that easy laugh that draws people, and he came from a big, boisterous family. His dad owned a construction company. They had money, the kind that buys big houses and loud parties, but it also bred entitlement. Jake swept Emily off her feet right away, taking her on whirlwind dates, buying her fancy dinners, telling her she was too pure for this world, that her calm balanced out his wild energy. Emily came home that night, her eyes sparkling. "Mom, he's so passionate. He makes me feel alive." I hugged her tight, happy to see her so excited, but deep down something nagged at me. His passion felt more like a storm, unpredictable and potentially destructive. Jake was possessive from the start. He'd text her constantly, "Where are you? Who are you with?" He'd check her phone casually like it was no big deal, criticizing her artist friends as flaky dreamers who weren't going anywhere. He pushed her to quit her part-time job at the gallery, saying, "Real men provide. I don't want you stressing over pennies." Emily started doubting herself. "Maybe he's right, Mom. I don't want to be a burden on him." Her voice would tremble a little when she'd say things like that, and I'd gently tell her, "Honey, love shouldn't make you question your worth." But she was in deep, that blind kind of love where you ignore the red flags waving right in front of you. They dated for about a year, and Jake's control tightened like a noose. He mocked her art in subtle ways, calling it hobby, doodling, nothing serious. He'd get jealous if she spent time painting alone, accusing her of shutting him out. Emily stopped going to her art classes, started wearing the clothes he picked out, more conservative, less colorful, to fit in with his crowd. She even gained a little weight from the stress, eating late at night. After their arguments, I'd visit and see the light in her eyes dimming just a bit more each time, but she'd brush it off. "Jake's just protective, Mom. He loves me so much. He wants the best for us." And I'd nod, biting my tongue, because I knew pushing too hard would only drive her away. Then came the proposal. It was flashy, of course, at a fancy restaurant with his Whole family there. Jake got down on one knee and Emily said yes, tears streaming down her face. The wedding was a spectacle, all paid for by his parents, a big venue with crystal chandeliers and a live band. Emily looked stunning in her dress, but I remember catching her in the bridal suite, her hands shaking as she adjusted her veil. Are you sure about this, sweetie? I asked softly. She smiled weakly. Just nerves, Mom. But her eyes told a different story, like she was stepping into something she couldn't quite escape. After the honeymoon, things got worse. Jake would lounge around the house, expecting Emily to cook, clean, host his family whenever they dropped by unannounced. He'd tease her in front of them about being a homebody. Too quiet, too boring. His brothers would join in, laughing heartily while Emily forced a smile, her cheeks flushing. I'd hear about it later over coffee, how she'd cry herself to sleep, feeling invisible in her own home. But she loved him, or thought she did, and she kept trying to make it work, shrinking herself smaller and smaller to fit into his world. She stopped painting altogether, her brushes gathering dust in the garage, her dreams pushed aside for his comfort and all, the while his family enabled it, treating her like the outsider who was lucky to be there. His mom would pat her hand and say, "Oh, Emily, you're so good for Jake. He needs someone steady like you." It wasn't a compliment. It was a cage, and I watched my daughter, the girl with the bright sketches on my fridge, fade into a shadow of herself year after year. The insults piled up, the isolation grew, and Emily's spirit eroded like sand under relentless waves. Jake's control wasn't just emotional, it seeped into everything he handled. The finances, but really it was Emily's inheritance from her father, a modest sum she'd invested wisely that kept them afloat after Jake's bad business decisions, but he acted like it was his money, blowing it on gadgets and trips with his buddies while telling her she was too controlling if she questioned a purchase. The irony burned me up inside, but Emily kept quiet, defending him. He's under pressure, Mom. Works tough. His family's construction business was struggling. Whispers of debts and bad investments. But Jake hid it well, strutting around like the king of the castle. And then came that Thanksgiving dinner, the breaking point. We'd all gathered at his parents' house, the air thick with the smell of roasted turkey and pie, everyone chatting loudly, passing plates around. Emily had spent the morning helping in the kitchen, her hands raw from peeling potatoes, but she did it with that quiet grace of hers. Jake was already a few beers and joking with his brothers about old times when suddenly he turned the conversation to their marriage. "Remember how we met?" he said, grinning at Emily. She was this shy little thing at the art fair. I figured no one else would take her on, so I did it out of pity. No one else would put up with that controlling nag. The words hung in the air like a slap. His brothers erupted in laughter, one of them high-fiving him. "Good one, bro." Emily froze her fork midway to her mouth, her face draining of color. She hung her head, staring at her plate as if willing the ground to swallow her up. The room spun for me, my heart pounding in my ears. How dare he? How dare they laugh at my daughter's pain? I'd seen enough over the years, the way he'd chipped away at her confidence, the isolation, the mockery. But this was the line crossed, and I wasn't going to let it slide. I stood up slowly, my chair scraping against the floor, a calm smile on my face that masked the storm inside. "Oh, Jake," I said, my voice steady. "How ironic. You're the one living off my daughter's inheritance from her father, money she quietly manages while you blow it on your toys, and your family laughs without Emily's patience. You'd all be out on the street after your dad's bad investments. My daughter is a saint. You're the parasite here, Emily. Let's go. Your real family is waiting." The laughter died instantly. Faces frozen in shock. Jake's mouth opened and closed like a fish, but no words came out. His mom sputtered something about misunderstanding, but it was too late. Emily looked up at me, tears in her eyes, but a spark of something new, resolve. Maybe. She stood, grabbed her coat, and we walked out together, leaving that toxic den behind. That night changed everything. Emily filed for divorce the next week, and with the truth out about the finances, Jake's family couldn't contest much. She kept her inheritance, started painting again, and opened that art studio she'd always dreamed of, thriving, surrounded by colors and kids who look up to her. And as for Jake, last I heard, he's back living with his parents, scraping by, regretting the day he underestimated my daughter. If you've ever felt that burn of injustice That slow boil of watching someone you love be diminished. This stories for you, it's a reminder that sometimes the best revenge is standing up, speaking the truth, and walking away with your head high. So if this hooked you, hit that like button, subscribe for more tales of real life karma, and let's dive deeper into how it all unfolded, because believe me, the details will have you cheering by the end. Alright folks, if you've ever been in a situation where someone crossed you, made you feel small, or took advantage of your kindness, and you just wished for that perfect moment of payback, then you're in the right place. Today we're unpacking a story that's not just about revenge, it's about reclaiming your power, finding your voice, and watching the tables turn in the most satisfying way possible. Don't forget to smash that like button if you're already feeling the fire. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss these emotional roller coasters. And if you have your own revenge story, drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear it. Now, let's get into the full breakdown, starting from the very beginning, where the seeds of this toxic relationship were planted. It all started when Emily was just 23, fresh out of art school, full of dreams and that innocent optimism that life hadn't yet tarnished. She was at this local art fair in our small town, booths lined up with paintings, sculptures, handmade jewelry, the air buzzing with creativity and chatter. That's where she met Jake. He was there with his buddies, not really for the art, but to kill time. He spotted Emily at her booth where she was selling some of her sketches, simple but beautiful portraits that captured people's essences. He sauntered over, flashed that charming smile, and started chatting her up. You have a real talent, he said, his eyes locking on hers. Most people here are just pretending, but you're the real deal. Emily blushed. She'd always been shy about her work, but his words lit her up. Inside, they talked for hours about everything and nothing. He told her about his family's construction business, how he was going to take it over one day, make it big. She shared her dreams of opening a studio, teaching kids to find their voice through art. By the end of the day, he asked for her number, and she gave it without hesitation. That night, she came home floating on air. Mom, I met someone special. He's different, passionate, driven. I smiled, hugged her tight, but even then I felt a twinge. Something about how quickly he latched on, how he dominated the conversation in her retelling, but I pushed it aside, happy to see her happy. Their first date was at a fancy steakhouse way above what Emily was used to. Jake insisted on paying, ordered for her, said he knew what was good. She laughed it off as chivalrous, but it was the start. He showered her with attention, texts, calls, surprise visits at work, but it wasn't long before the possessiveness crept in. Who'd you talk to today? He'd ask casually, scrolling through her phone. Oh, just a friend from class, she'd say, and he'd frown. They're not good for you, Em. They're holding you back from real life. She started pulling away from her friends, canceling plans to avoid his jealousy. One night she came home crying after he accused her of flirting with a coworker at the gallery. I didn't do anything, Mom, she sobbed. I just smiled at him. Jake said I was being controlling, wanting to keep my job instead of focusing on us. Controlling. That word would come back to haunt us, but at the time she believed him, thought she needed to try harder to make him feel secure. I sat with her that night, stroking her hair, and said, sweetie, love shouldn't make you feel like you're walking on eggshells. But she wiped her tears and said, he's just insecure because he cares so much. I'll help him through it. That's Emily. Always the fixer, always seeing the good in people, even when it blinded her to the bad. As months passed, Jake's influence grew. He convinced her to quit her gallery job, saying it was beneath her that he could provide while she focused on us. She did it hesitantly, but soon found herself isolated at home, waiting for him to come back from work. He'd come in tired, snap at her if dinner wasn't ready, mock her for spending the day sketching, calling it child's play. Get a real hobby, something useful. Her confidence chipped away bit by bit. She'd call me less, her voice flatter each time, but when I'd ask if she was okay, she'd say yes. Mom, we're just adjusting to couple life. The proposal came after a year at a lavish dinner. With his family present, Jake got down on one knee, ring in hand. Emily, will you make me the luckiest guy alive? She said yes. Everyone cheered, but I saw the flicker in her eyes, the hesitation hidden behind the smile. His mom hugged her tight. Oh, Emily, you're perfect for Jake. He needs someone like you to keep him grounded. It sounded sweet, but it was code for someone to handle his messes. The wedding Planning was all them his family. Dictated everything, the venue, the menu. The guest list. Emily nodded along her input. Dismissed as too artsy or impractical. On the big day she walked down the aisle, radiant but nervous. I whispered to her, at the altar you can still back out if it's not right. She squeezed my hand. I'm sure Mom, but her grip was tight, like she was holding on for dear life. The honeymoon was in Hawaii, supposedly paradise. But when they returned, Emily looked exhausted, thinner than before. Jake bragged about the adventures, but she avoided my questions, saying it was perfect, just tiring. Back home, the real marriage began. Jake expected her to host his family every weekend, big loud gatherings where she'd serve food, clean up while they joked and drank. He'd tease her in front of them. Em's so quiet tonight, cat, got your tongue. His brothers would laugh. She'd smile, weakly retreating to the kitchen to hide her tears. One evening I dropped by unannounced, found her alone in the living room staring at a blank canvas. Jake's out with friends, she said, her voice hollow. I sat beside her. Honey, what's going on? She broke down, sobbing. Mom, I feel like I'm disappearing. He says my art is a waste, that I need to grow up, support his dreams instead. I held her as she cried, but when Jake came home, she dried her eyes, acted like nothing happened. That pattern continued for years, the buildup of frustration stacking higher. Jake's business ventures failed, one after another. Bad deals, lost contracts, but he hid it, blaming the economy. Meanwhile, Emily's inheritance, that's some from her dad's life insurance, she'd invested it smartly. It grew quietly, funding their life, but Jake treated it like his own, buying a new truck, taking trips with buddies while telling her she was too controlling with money if she suggested budgeting. The irony was lost on him, but not on me. I'd started documenting things quietly, slips of bank statements, conversations overheard, because I knew one day she'd need proof. His family knew too. His dad's company was in debt. They'd borrowed from Emily's fund without asking, assuming it was family money, but she managed it all silently, not wanting conflict. And then the holidays rolled around. Thanksgiving at his parents', the table set with all the trimmings Emily had helped cook. As always, Jake was in high spirits, beers flowing, conversation turning to marriages. His brother shared a story about his wife, then Jake chimed in, yeah, well, I'm married. And out of pity, no one else would deal with her controlling ways. The laughter exploded. Emily shrank. I felt the rage boil, but I waited for the perfect moment, standing up with that calm smile. How ironic, Jake, you're the one living off her inheritance money she manages, while you squander it and your family. Without her, you'd be bankrupt after those bad investments. She's the saint, you're the parasite. Let's go. Emily, the room went silent as we left. That was the turning point, but to understand the full plan, the execution, the sweet taste of justice, we have to go deeper into how Emily rebuilt from the ashes. From that Thanksgiving night onward, everything shifted. Emily and I drove home in silence, at first her hands trembling on the wheel, but then she glanced at me. Mom, how did you know about the money, the debts? I smiled softly. I've been paying attention, sweetie, for years. I've seen how they've used you, how Jake's drained you, not just financially, but emotionally. It's time to stop. She nodded, wiping a tear. For the first time in a long time, I saw a spark in her eyes, not of defeat, but of determination. We got back to my house, the one she'd grown up in, with its cozy kitchen and those old drawings still on the fridge. She crashed on the couch, exhausted. But when she woke the next morning, she said, I'm done, Mom, I want out. I hugged her tight. That's my girl. But we both knew it wouldn't be easy. Jake blew up her phone that night, texts pouring in, at first angry. How dare you embarrass me in front of my family, then pleading, baby, come home. I didn't mean it. I was drunk. Emily's finger hovered over the reply button, but I gently took the phone. No more excuses. He's shown his true colors now. Let's plan this right. We sat down over coffee and I laid out what I'd gathered over the years, bank records showing how her inheritance had been siphoned into his accounts, emails from his dad admitting the family business loans tied to her funds, proof that without her quiet management, they'd have collapsed long ago. Emily stared at the papers wide. I had no idea it was this bad, Mom. He always said it was temporary. I nodded. That's how manipulators work. They make you doubt your own eyes. But now you see. We contacted a lawyer the next day, a sharp woman-eyed, known from church, who specialized in divorces. She reviewed everything and whistled, this is Airtight Emily, he's been living off you. While belittling you will. File for divorce, protect your assets. And expose the fraud if needed. Emily hesitated, but what? About the house, the life we built, the lawyer leaned. And that's not a life, honey, that's a prison. You're breaking free. The filing happened quietly. Jake was served papers. At work, he called raging, you're making a mistake, you'll regret this, but she blocked him, focused on healing. We moved her things out while he was gone, her art supplies. First, those dusty brushes and canvases she hadn't touched in years. Back in my guest room, she set up a small studio. Tentative at first, a sketch here, a painting there, but slowly the color returned to her world, not just on the canvas, but in her cheeks, her smile. Meanwhile, Jake's world crumbled without Emily's money to prop him up. His truck payments lapsed. The house went into foreclosure. His family scrambled. His dad calling her, begging for more time, but she stood firm. No more. I'm done being the safety net. The plan for revenge wasn't some elaborate scheme. It was simple truth and consequences. We let the legal process unfold, but the real payback came in the small moments. Like when Jake showed up at my door, hat in hand, and please, let's talk. I miss you. She faced him from the porch. You missed controlling me, Jake. Pity, that's what you said. Well, I don't need your pity anymore. I need my life back, he stammered. But his eyes showed the panic, the realization that he'd lost his crutch. His brothers stopped laughing when the family business hit rock bottom. Forced to downsize, sell assets to pay debts. Word spread in our small town, whispers about how Jake had driven away the best thing in his life. Emily thrived. She started teaching art classes at the community center, kids flocking to her gentle guidance. Her studio dream became reality. A small space downtown filled with laughter and paint splatters. She even started dating again, a kind fellow artist who saw her for the treasure she is. The execution of this justice played out over months, each step building to that cathartic release. First, the divorce hearing. Jake tried to play the victim, claiming she'd abandoned him, but our lawyer presented the evidence. The judge's face hardened as she read the financial records. Mr. Jake, you seem to have benefited greatly from your wife's assets while contributing little. This isn't abandonment itself. Preservation, custody wasn't an issue. No kids, but the settlement hit him hard. Emily kept her inheritance. He got debts and a wake-up call. His family disowned, the facade cracking under pressure. His mom called once. Tearful, Emily, we didn't know he was like that, but she hung up knowing they did. They all did. The tension built like a storm. The nights, Emily doubted herself. I'd remind her of that Thanksgiving, the laughter, the pity, and she'd straighten up. No going back. The sensory details stick with me. The smell of fresh paint in her new studio, the sound of kids giggling over their drawings, the feel of her hug tighter now with strength. The inner voice she'd share with me, Mom, I feel alive again, like I can breathe. And as for Jake, I heard through the grapevine he's back with his parents, working odd jobs, regretting every word he said. The plan had risks exposure could have backfired, made her look bitter, but we played it smart, quiet, dignified, letting the truth do the work. Strategy was key. Document everything. Confront only when ready, and walk away with grace. That's what made the revenge so sweet, not destruction, but elevation, her rising while he fell. Naturally, the build up had been years in the making, but the breaking point, that dinner, ignited the fuse. And now, as we approach the climax, the full unfolding of that revenge scene, let's relive it in all its glory. The moment the words left my lips, the room froze. Jake's face drained of color. His brothers' laughter choked off mid-breath. His mom dropped her fork, clattering against the plate. Emily looked up, shock mixing with relief as I extended my hand. Come on, sweetie, let's go home. She stood slowly, her chair pushing back, the sound echoing in the silence. We walked out, heads high, the cold November air hitting our faces like freedom. Jake stumbled after us. Wait, this is crazy, but she didn't look back. The drive home was quiet but charged with energy. At my house, she broke down, crying not from sadness but release. Mom, thank you for seeing what I couldn't. I held her. We did this together, and from there, the real healing began. The reflective ending comes now. Looking back on it all, it's funny how life serves up justice in its own time. Emily's story isn't just about revenge, it's about growth, about recognizing your worth when others try to steal it away. Karma doesn't always hit with a bang. Sometimes it's a slow reveal, like peeling back layers to show the rot Underneath Jake and his family, they thought they were untouchable, laughing at someone else's pain, but in the end their own. House of Cards collapsed, and Emily, she rose from the ashes. Stronger, brighter, a reminder that no one deserves to be diminished, that standing up, even if it's through someone else's voice at first, can change everything. If there's a lesson here, it's this: don't wait for the pity party to end. Walk out of it head high. Surround yourself with people who see your light, not those who try to snuff it out. And for all you viewers out there, if this resonated, if you've got that fire in your belly from hearing how Emily reclaimed her life, then let's keep the conversation going. Was that not the most satisfying turn of events ever? Drop a comment below. Tell me what you think. Would you have said something different in that moment, or have you lived through something similar? Share your stories. I read every one, and who knows, maybe yours will inspire the next video like this one. If it hit home, it helps the channel grow. And subscribe, turn on that bell so you catch every new tale of real life justice. We've got more coming your way, stories that pack an emotional punch and deliver that sweet, sweet payback. Thanks for watching, folks. Until next time, remember, your worth is non-negotiable. Take care. Wait, hold on, that was the core, but to flesh it out to the full length, let's expand on the reflections. Justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's in the quiet moments, like Emily picking up her brush again after years, the stroke of color on canvas, a declaration of independence, or the way her laughter returned genuine and free, not forced to please others. Personal growth comes from the ashes of betrayal. She learned to set boundaries, to trust her gut, something I wish I'd taught her sooner. But life has its own curriculum and karma. While it's patient, it waited for that Thanksgiving to strike, revealing the dependencies, the hypocrisies in a single breath. And for me, as her mom, it was a lesson too, and when to step in, not too soon to push her away, but just in time to pull her back. Now Emily's studio is bustling, kids with paint-smeared faces, parents thanking her for inspiring their little ones. She's even exhibiting her work, local galleries praising her unique voice, and Jake, rumor has it, he's sobered up, literally and figuratively, working a steady job, reflecting on his mistakes, though I doubt he'll ever fully admit them. His family, they're quieter now, the big party's gone, humbled by reality. It's a grounded ending, no fairy tale, but real, satisfying in its authenticity. So viewers, what do you take from this? Is revenge best served cold, or with a calm smile like mine? Hit those comments, let's discuss. And if you're new here, welcome. Join the community where we celebrate stories of triumph over toxicity. Now for the closing call to action. Seriously, folks, if this video fired you up, gave you that chill of satisfaction, then smash that like button. It tells the algorithm to share more of these gems with people who need them. Subscribe if you haven't already. We've got a lineup of revenge narratives, from petty pranks to life-changing comebacks, that'll keep you hooked. And turn on notifications. No more missing out on the drama. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever delivered a mic drop moment like that, or wished you could? Your stories fuel this channel, and who knows, I might feature one in a future video. Share this with a friend who's going through something similar. It could be the push they need. And if you're feeling extra supportive, check out the merch link in the description. Tees with quotes like regret looks good on them, perfect for your own payback vibe. Thanks again for spending your time here. You're the reason we keep telling these tales. Until the next one, stay strong, stay true, and remember, payback's a dish best served with a side of self-love. Peace out.